All right, we have some breaking inputs coming in now. Supreme Court pulls plug on Vipaksh's siren. Supreme Court has refused to alter SIR timeline. This comes after Kapil Sibal had urged extending deadline for finalization of draft rolls from September 1st. Kapil Sibal also said time is too short and sought extending deadline for publication of final list from the current deadline, which is September 30th. Referring to the remarks, Supreme Court said, for the time being, they are not inclined to order any deadline extension. Harish, our legal editor, is joining us on the broadcast with more details. Earlier, Harish, you told us how the Supreme Court pulled up parties for not doing enough, not cooperating with the Election Commission. Now, we're given to understand it has also refused to alter the timeline, has refused to order any extension of the deadline at the moment.
Yes, that's right, Swati. This was one of the biggest demand being made by the opposition parties in Bihar inside the parliament, and also in Supreme Court. They have been creating a ruckus in parliament. Remember, today when the matter was being heard, inside Kapil Sibal, appearing for some of the opposition parties, raised this issue saying that time is too little. September 1 is the deadline for publication of the final draft electoral roll. That has to be extended. And also September 30th is the day, Swati, when the Election Commission has to come out with the final list, and October 1st the final list has to be published. So Kapil Sibal essentially said that till the Supreme Court finally adjudicates on the batch of petitions, in fact, this date should be extended, and for the time being, elections should be held on the previous electoral roll. But Justice Suryakant, who leads the bench, said nothing doing. For the time being, we are not entertaining this plea. We are not inclined for the time being to entertain such a request. And as you rightly said, Swati, earlier the Supreme Court had questioned why, after the Election Commission of India said that the opposition parties were wasting time by creating a ruckus in Parliament rather than helping the voters on the ground through their booth level agents in coordination with the booth level officers. But the Supreme Court said why there is such a distance gap between the political parties, their BLA, the agents and the voter. What exactly is the BLAs of political parties doing rather than helping those who have been omitted from the draft roll to enter back into the draft roll? The Supreme Court said if the political parties had shown some sense of responsibility, and things would not have come to such a pass. So earlier the Supreme Court had slammed the opposition parties in Bihar for just creating a ruckus and doing nothing on ground to help the voters, and later the Supreme Court has refused to extend the deadline as far as publication of
Harish,
draft
please stay on with us. We have Rashid Alvi of the Congress joining us on the broadcast. Like our legal editor is just reporting, Rashid Alvi ji, the Supreme Court first came down heavily on all the political parties, saying, why aren't you cooperating with the Election Commission? They also said political parties not doing enough. The voter seems more aware than the political parties. And the Supreme Court has refused to alter the SIR timeline to extend the deadline.
For any direction, any judgment of the Supreme Court. But basically, it is not our responsibility. It is the responsibility of Election Commission. 65 lakhs voters have been deleted. Whether it is the responsibility of political parties to approach every voter, whether we should get affidavit of every voter, whether we should find out who is dead, who is not dead. It is all right, Supreme Court has issued this direction. But political parties are not the annexee of Election Commission. Important thing is why Election Commission has deleted 65 lakhs votes. And it is under the pressure of this BJP government. And it is happening not only in Bihar, it will happen in every state of the country. They have found a way to win the election. Most of them belongs to one particular community.
It has been put at the block development offices, villages as well, for people to access the list and figure out if their names have been deleted, and they can of course approach the Supreme Court. the election commission, I beg your pardon. Meanwhile, when you say that political parties are not responsible, the Supreme Court has asked them what roles have they played in helping the aggrieved victims. They have to now be present. Representatives of the political parties will have to be present in the next hearing. Thank you very much, Mr. Alvi, for joining us on the broadcast. So the Supreme Court has refused to alter the Bihar SIR timeline. There were arguments asking for extension. The court has declined that. With that, we're slipping into a short break.